Okay, it started.
Hello there, welcome to Process of Object-Oriented Programming the Game, or Poop the Game. My name is Lars Gustaf Jiborn. With me is
Wallace Borges. Hello. We're representing Group One. We also have John and Jacqueline Godier. And yeah, we're gonna show you guys our game. So real quick, right off the bat, John, Gustaf, you want to tell us about the purpose and the motivation of our system?
well, Wallace. The purpose and the motivation for our system was, well, all four of us are pretty hardcore gamers, and we really wanted to create a game that was both fun and challenging because we all enjoyed first-person shooter games. We decided to go down that route. We made a third-person survival shooter. You survive against waves of purple robots and shoot them.
Nice.
Now, what are the core features of this shooting game?
I got you. Well, for any type of shooting game, actually, I'll bring you to the control screen. There, if you look real quick, there's a movement. There's typical WASD. There's the space for jumping.
Seems pretty standard.
Yeah, it's like standard stuff that you would normally play for any of these shooting games. Also, you can see on the weapon screen, you look at the specific controls for weapons, like switching weapons, for aiming, for fight, and also the weapon scope. Now, if you go back to the main menu and click play, I'll tell you more about the features. So there you can see we have a player. Player has a gun, right? Now, the player is able to move around this 3D environment, which is pretty typical of any type of shooting game. We also have, terrain that can be explored. It can go up and down the hill. It can bump into a tree. There's also a player avatar that can run, jump, and shoot, as well as aim, which is pretty typical of any type of these. We also have, you see in the back, this little purple thing. That's one of our enemies. So our enemies, they can actually chase and attack the user. As you can see, it chased us. Now it's attacking. We also have multiple weapons that can be deployed. You can actually toggle them using the different keys, as you saw before. And really cool thing is that there's the health of the player is actually visible. So that way you can see how much health you have left and determine, should I play a little more carefully? Should I be more bold? Rambo it up, or should I, yeah, do you want to talk about the technologies that we use to implement our system?
Yes. Well, as you can see when we first started the game, this game runs on the Unity game engine. So we use the Unity platform to construct our game. To write our code and all of our scripts, we utilized C#. This is actually pretty useful because you can bake in Visual Studio Code, the IDE used for C# with Unity to debug your code. So that's a very useful technology. And then to share and collaboratively work, we utilized Git as a version control system to monitor and control our workflow. And then to test our code, we used the Unity tester. Rather unreliable, but still did its job for testing. Then, of course, we executed this game on Windows PCs.
Nice.
Wallace, what were the primary algorithms and classes we used in this object-oriented piece of software?
I got you. So right off the bat, you can see that there's the AI manager. So if the player goes close to any of the enemies, you'll see that the enemies actually attack, and they make the decision to come towards us. Right. Now, that AI manager is responsible for creating and managing all the enemies and their decisions, all their decision making. Along with the AI manager is the movement controller, which is another algorithm we use that implements navigation systems, or nav mesh, as we call them within our code. Now, that nav mesh gives the enemies the ability to choose where to go. For example, you can see right now that the enemy is going to, right? It knows that they can climb the ramp, but it also knows not to climb a tree. And, sometimes they have a little trouble finding the ramp, but, you can't make them that smart. Otherwise, the game's not as fair. But, yeah, also we have animation controller. Oh, there it is. He's a fighter. You can see that animation controller controls the movements and animations of the player as well as the enemies. So the reason why he looks so crisp and why he looks around with his knees bending, his arms filling out when he jumps, also when he's aiming, you'll see that his head kind of tilts to the side. There you go. Those are all animation controller, and it's responsible for all that. Now, for one of the also most important things is the input controller. So whatever input you're using for any type of game, different games you play, you have joysticks, you have different controllers, also keyboard. Here we're using the keyboard and the mouse. So the input controller is responsible for producing those in-game responses from the user inputs. All right. So whenever the user clicks a button on the mouse or just presses sort of, it allows it to do that. We also have the game manager, which is like the spinal cord, the spine of the game. It keeps things running. It's responsible for starting, driving, and also stopping the game. So right now we're playing the game. The game manager allows us to keep playing until we die, or until all the enemies are done. And it's basically responsible for streaming everything, making sure everything flows, all the different systems. It's like the brain, of the actual game. Then there's the player controller. Now this is responsible for keeping track of player mechanics. How high the player how fast it runs. How much health does the player have. All the player controller is responsible for that, and it keeps track of it. And it's a nice, neat way to keep everything in one condensed little system. Lastly, we have the UI manager. Our UI manager, or user interface manager, is responsible for all the user interface things. So that way, any menus, the game menu in the very beginning, the game over menu at the end, anything you see on the screen like health or the scoring, or even that little crossfire for the weapon, that's all the UI manager that's responsible for that. Now, yeah, you want to talk about the alternatives?
Yes, the game engines that we could have also gone with. So when we started this project, we looked at two game engines, the Unreal Engine and the current system we are running on, the Unity game engine. We decided to go with the Unity platform because most of us were already familiar with it. Three of our group members, John, Jacqueline, and Wallace, had all done it before. And Unity is an easy to learn, approachable platform. So me, Gustaf, learned it quickly. Not to mention Unity is very popular, so there's a lot of systems for support on the internet. A lot of blogs and whatnot assisting with the frequently asked questions and such. Not to mention the Unity Asset Store provides a tremendously large source for open source free code design software. I mean, models. So the trees you see, the in-game guns and animations, those are all from the asset store. So what us four programmers couldn't create due to lack of graphic skills and skills, we were able to fetch that from the asset store. And now, for future plans and development into the future, so to speak, what could be done or should be considered?
Yeah. So for the future, we're thinking that we could do. We had different stretch goals in the beginning of the planning, period of this game. We were thinking we could do an ammo system to make it more challenging, so you run out of ammo and you have to pick some up. We were also thinking that later on we could add power, like a shield or extra armor or extra life, or a weapon that does more damage, splash damage, different things, different power-ups that you could use to make the game more exciting and basically more fun. We were even thinking, later on we could do it like right now we're in a city setting, there's lots of trees. We're thinking we could add like a desert theme or even like a snow theme, wherever robots can live. And it's a nice way to just add more variety to the game. We're also thinking of maybe adding more weapons. Right now we have 3, and you can see we're toggling through the different weapons, but maybe we can add a throwing knife or a bazooka. The possibilities are pretty much endless of future plans, but that's something we were thinking of. Now, as far as how we could improve our system that we currently have, I guess we can go back and forth with that, but I know one thing that we could do is adding an in-game menu, something that could enhance the experience. So that way, if you ever want to pause the game, you can do that instead of just getting killed right away. Do you have another thing that could probably be an improvement for our system, Gustaf?
Yes, we are also perhaps discussing improving the nav mesh system for the enemies. See, right now you could have seen the enemy was struggling getting up some of the ramps in the irregular terrain. I mean, that's usual these systems. It takes several months to develop, so considering we only had 4 people to work on this, it isn't something to not be expected. But that's one improvement we could definitely make. And as well as adding enemy mechanics, like perhaps making the robots climb walls and stuff like that. You know, give the player more of a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be really cool. I know one other thing that we could improve on is the scoring algorithm. Right now, it's set to a very basic thing, but basically we could improve on that more so that it makes it more enjoyable for the player. They can see how they're advancing throughout the game. You know, just a different scoring algorithm.
Yes. Interesting.
But yeah, man. I really like this game. I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty cool.
The
As you can
future's
see,
bright.
our players,
Future's bright. That's for
future's
sure.
bright, and players
Well, except for the zombie.
still alive. Exactly. Oh, look at that. Yeah, sometimes they're not as bright, but hey, it's all good.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching our presentation. Appreciate you guys for being here. Safe out there.
Yes. Stay safe from the coronavirus. Practice social distancing. Peace out.
Signing on.